What's up, Zox fam? Now, Genshin versus Wuthering Waves, I'm just going to rip that Band-Aid off and just tell you it's not real. Now, if you haven't been coming to my Twitch, twitch.tv/Zoxaskun, you guys have been missing out. We've been talking about a lot of these different things because I think that a lot of the times when a Titan game comes up, we have this consistent thing that happens where communities from each respective game will start comparing to each other. And I feel like in this situation, it's definitely not what is being painted out to be. And I want to kind of break things down. What exactly is the intent of Kuro in this Genshin Impact versus Wuthering Waves? Why I feel like it's not really the narrative and it's actually something completely different. Now, to start out, right, I'm going to just say this. And this is one of the things that you'll hear commonly also said in conjunction to the Genshin Impact is going to be, killed by this game, or Genshin Impact killer. Genshin Impact is in a position where the only game that can kill Genshin Impact is Genshin Impact. And that is what we're actually currently seeing happen. So with that, what position does that put Wuthering Waves in? It puts Wuthering Waves in a, by default, capitalizing opportunity to be able to come to the forefront to be able to appeal to the masses. Now, this isn't something that they force because this also goes into the entire concept of what exactly is Kuro's goal. Is their goal to crush Genshin Impact? No, it's not, right? We're going to talk about that, right? Now, the thing is that I was kind of ciphering through Reddit. Of course, we were reacting to a lot of different videos on the Twitch stream. And we actually came across a thread that asks, how generous is Kuro Games toward its players? And I feel like this is a very relevant question because this is in relevance to how not generous Genshin has been to their player base. Now, the argument that's been made, and I've had some people even comment this on my video, oh, well, free-to-play players are just so entitled now, and honestly, you get to experience a game for free, and I'm gonna be completely honest, that's cope, okay? The thing is that industry standard in most companies that are coming out, they're making billions, if not millions of dollars off of you and your time. So you being able to put your time or sitting on their game and raising their overall average for a number of concurrent players playing their game, they're making money off of you, right? So I would say that if you're going to be putting your money into something, you very well should be getting something out of it. And when we're talking about your money and time, or even just your time, it's like, hey, if I put 2-3 years into this game, I shouldn't be getting 3 singles, equivalent value of $9 for 3 years, right? That to me is just kind of insane. And again, it all goes into how there are other games circulating the space that are literally doing so much better, not as massive, but so much better in terms of catering to their player base. And Genshin Impact players have to sit there and watch it and be okay, right? They just have to be okay. Now, here's the thing, right? The thing about Kuro, and this person goes to actually ask the question, again, how generous is Kuro Games toward its players? Now, Wuthering Waves, it says, will be out this year, and I'm going to take 1 week to leave just to play it nonstop. I fell in love with this game the moment I saw the boss fight with the Ghost Rider a year ago. I never heard of Kuro Games before, but I do know that they release PGR, which I only heard positive feedback from, especially how Kuro Games listens to players. But what concerns me the most is how generous Kuro is, and can free-to-play players hold ground with upcoming new characters? How about anniversary, New Year rewards? I do not want to relive the disrespect I felt from the game, which I will not name, which we all know. It gave players 10 pulls for the anniversary and then 3 pulls plus go F yourself for the new year as a thank you for supporting us reward. Now, the thing is that I will say, and a couple of people in the comments actually say this, is that the gacha is going to be different in Wuthering Waves, 100%. So I don't want to, as a Wuthering Waves content creator, to set the expectation that you're going to be getting the exact treatment as Punishing Gray Raven when it comes down to the gacha aspect. But what I can actually place my faith in is Kuro themselves. So whatever our structure ends up being for the finalized version of the game, game, they're going to make sure that players are taken care of in the respective right for what the current structure is. Now, one thing I will say that Kuro actually does extremely well is not that they make the best decisions all the time, but they really make the best decisions when it comes down to listening to good player feedback. And I'm very much so emphasizing good player feedback because not all player feedback is good, right? And this is one of the things that I think is going to allow them to be more successful. And you're going to have a completely different experience as a Wuthering Waves player versus being a Genshin Impact player. Now, I also want to give some context to this, guys. I'm not just a random person from the outside looking in that's just saying these things about Genshin Impact. I actually played Genshin Impact. I actually, for what it's worth, like Genshin Impact. The problem I have is with Hoyo and how they handle Genshin Impact. It has nothing to do with the game itself. I actually, honestly, really wish I could have invested and felt more inclined to make content when I was making content on Genshin Impact, but it just became less and less fulfilling because you just didn't feel like the value was there. And that's just how I personally felt, right? Now, again, with Wuthering Waves, I do feel like so far they've done an amazing job with even some of the more simple things, which is just simply communicating with their players, right? Game's not out, but we're constantly getting updated on what exactly is going on with the game. Why are these things changing? They're listening to player feedback. And then again, even just the fact that they just recently apologized to the entire world for honestly not delivering something that they really would have liked to deliver on their closed beta test, that automatically puts them at a much better position when you're even looking at how much they care. And this same care, again, their team members are also coming from PGR. Their head lead designer is actually one of the guys that was creating on Punishing Gray Raven, and that's Dung, and the dude is freaking talented. So having that in mind and knowing that these are the same people that were in relations to Punishing Gray Raven, despite what might be different in terms of the structure of the gacha, I still have a lot of faith that these are individuals, which they have proven on Punishing Gray Raven, that want to bring and put their best foot forward when it comes down to the quality and the type of game that they are trying to bring, right? Now, with that, there's a comment here that also kind of that I've seen a little bit after the fact, right? And it kind of goes into what exactly Wuthering Waves' position is here, right? So it says, or being generous will be a good marketing strategy against fellow competition, especially Genshin. Wuwa already has spotlight, but let's be honest here. The media all throughout TV series, anime, manga is not too kind to sci-fi series, unlike during the 2010s. Fantasy has been on a resonance for years now. The best thing to do here is to capitalize the unrest of Genshin players. Bad anniversary rewards like no free 5-star, like unlike HSR. Reruns are slow. It's getting harder to get 4-star cons because of growing roster, etc., and make a kinder gacha. And if Genshin Impact fights back with a market with making a better promo, that means they acknowledge Wuwa as a genuine competitor. The thing is that they better make sure the stories for 1.0 and 1.1 are going to match the explosiveness that a future Genshin patch would have, because if not, it's going to be another DCEU. And I don't necessarily believe that, right? And I also think that there's this point, right? The thing is that with the way that the game is going to be set up, they're honestly going to do fairly well, right? They took the time to actually rewrite the story. They're allowing us to be able to see, what exactly how exactly they've made improvements to the game. So I feel like the main thing that is really important here is the fact that Wuthering Waves takes the opportunity to capitalize off of it, because the entire concept of, like I said, Genshin versus Wuthering Waves, that's not Wuthering Waves' goal, right? And I want to talk about that. What is Wuthering Waves' goal? So for those of you guys that don't know, Kuro's goal is to chase games like Nier Automata, right? They want to be more, and honestly, I would even say they want to aspire to be just as great as those kinds of games, right? They're not looking to be a Genshin Impact. And I feel like in respect to Genshin Impact and also to Nair, I feel like Nair is definitely a very, very amazing series. And I would even say at this point it is an iconic series, right? And so for Kuro to set their prospects on something such as that seems to be more fitting to what I've seen at least Kuro put out, right? They've even gone as far as having a Nier Automata collab in their game for PGR. So I'm actually really excited to see those kinds of things opening up so that we can see what they can do with that. And I think that this, again, is a great opportunity because the biggest thing is that with Wuthering Waves having now, this is what I would consider their first chance to have a massive game out in the market. This is really going to be the testament of what they're going to be able to do. And I'm just really excited about that because honestly, I don't think that they're going to flop this. They just honestly don't have that kind of team that's going to and that's willing to flop. They've gone so far to make sure that they have gotten things together, graphically enhancing the game, adding more life to the game, revamping characters, changing the story. It's like, dude, you really think this is the kind of energy that's going to flop? Absolutely not. And you know what? I have to give Genshin, if I was to give Genshin anything, in the very beginning, they did have that kind of energy. They were very sure and very hyped with the storytelling of their game, with the visual appeal of their game, and they were 100% sure that it was going to reel players in and have them playing for a long time. And I mean, so far, regardless of the ups and downs of that community, it has been that way, right? But I think that then becomes the problem of, is that enough? Is the fact that your game just has these beautiful things enough? What about how you're treating your players? And that's where I think that Wuthering Waves is going to be able to bring in not only that aspect, but also the caterance to the overall player base on both the pay to win and the free to play side. So that's just that. Now, the other thing is too, guys, is that I also feel like when it comes down to what Kuro is trying to do, again, I also want us as community members to really honestly understand that Kuro is trying to be its own entity. They don't want to be the Genshin Impact takeover. They want to be Kuro Games, right? They want to be Wuthering Waves. They want to have their own empire. I'm looking at Kuroverse versus Hoyoverse. So, I'm not looking at it as them being like these two things that are necessarily going toe to toe. Because if I'm being honest here, guys, I 100% feel like Genshin Impact is doing a lot of these things to themselves. Wuwa doesn't have to do much, right? All they have to do is stay true to the foundation of what they have done, which is, again, communicating, staying true to players, and then of course making sure that they really do a good job at making the audience, what I'm going to call the Genshin Impact refugees, feel very welcomed in this space. And I hope and I implore you guys as Wuthering Wave fans, again, if you find or come across someone that has enjoyed or has honestly really have invested and put a lot of time into Genshin Impact, I implore you to welcome them with open arms and to really honestly be there for them. Support that community because I feel bad for a player base. My thing is that we'll laugh and we'll joke around and be like, oh man, this is crazy. But I really, truly do feel bad because, dude, if I put my time into something and it's not giving me or making me feel valued as a player, that sucks. And no matter how you look at it, no matter what you feel, oh, they're too entitled and all of that, it does not matter. There's a reason why they are losing millions and millions of people. If it was not a important or a valuable feeling, that would not be happening. And I think that, again, kudos to the CN community for actually taking a stand once again, as always, in every community for the game. And I really honestly think that that's another thing that's really important is that it should not take one singular community. It should be a banding together effort, right? And that's one thing that I'm going to be trying to issue out with Wuthering Waves. I feel like no matter how we appeal or approach each other or feel about each other, when it comes down to getting things taken care of for the game itself, we have to band together. We cannot be divided and think that we're going to be able to make things necessarily happen and it not be all of this fire going on, right? So I am actually very confident in what Wuthering Waves is going to be able to present and what they're going to be able to do for players. I'm really excited because, again, we've had so many different things already showing promise and just how they respect us as players. So I would say if I'm going to invest my time, if I'm going to invest my money into something, it's damn sure enough going to be something that really does show and prove to me that they deserve it, especially in this time frame where, let's be real here, guys, money ain't easy to come by and your time is very limited and it is also precious. So I hope that you guys, if you take anything away from this video today, that you understand that you need to value your time and as well as your finances and what you're investing in it. And I'm going to make sure that one of the things I'm going to be doing is making sure that I hold companies, and that's including Kuro, if at any point they need to be held responsible, I'm going to be telling the truth about it. And being honest is the only way that we'll be able to ever see changes made, if we ever need to have any changes made. But I'm always interested to know what you guys think about this situation. Make sure you guys follow me on twitch.tv//Zoxaskun. Again, we're going to be streaming very soon, probably tomorrow, getting into some more things going on. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, definitely make sure you guys come through there. All right. So that's going to be that, guys. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.